I'm Madison O'Connell from KU Bio 402 Fall 2020, and I made sauerkraut. The purpose of this study is to document the fermentation process of sauerkraut. The fermentation of sauerkraut is made by combining green cabbage and salt. Fermentation is the chemical breakdown of a substance by bacteria, yeast, or other microorganisms. The process of fermenting sauerkraut with salt started by the Germanic people in the 16th century. Sauerkraut is known to have probiotics that can help make the food more digestible and allow the body to absorb healthy nutrients such as fiber, vitamins, and add minerals more easily. Sauerkraut is also able to boost your immune system and help people lose weight and help reduce stress and maintain brain health. The materials needed include cabbage, salt, a knife, a cutting board, a marker, jars, a mixing bowl, a cheesecloth, and a rubber band. The total price came out to be $5.65. The first thing I did was cut my cabbage into very small pieces and put it into a large mixing bowl. After this, I mixed salt in with the cabbage, and then I massaged the salt into the cabbage for about 10 minutes. This is what the cabbage looked like after I massaged it. Next, I put the mixture into a small mason jar, and then I pressed the mixture down to make sure that the cabbage was submerged under the water, and then I put a weight on top. I used a rock. Then I put the cheesecloth on top of that and secured it with a rubber band. This is what the mixture looked like on the second day. This is what the mixture looked like on the third day. This is what my mixture looked like on the last day, the fourth day. For the results, the first test I did was color. At the start of fermentation, the cabbage was green in color, and as fermentation went on, the color changed to a yellow, and bubbles were also present. The next test was pH. The pH paper indicates that the pH of the fermented sauerkraut was around a 4, and the pH of the store-bought sauerkraut was around a 3, while the pH of the raw, uncut cabbage was around a 6 or 7. Lastly, I tested the texture. The taste and texture of the fermented sauerkraut was most comparable to the store-bought version compared to the uncut cabbage. The texture of the fermented sauerkraut was softer than the uncut cabbage and very similar to the store-bought sauerkraut. The taste of the sauerkraut was very similar to the store-bought sauerkraut, but did have a little less of a sour flavor. The texture and flavor change of the fermented sauerkraut indicates that fermentation took place and that the sauerkraut changed over the 4 days. This image shows my pH test. The image on the left is the raw, uncut cabbage, and it had a pH of a 6 or a 7, which is a yellow to orange color. The middle jar is my fermented sauerkraut, which was around a 4 for pH and had an orange-red color. And lastly, the jar on the right is the store-bought sauerkraut, which was around a 3, and it had a red color with a little bit of orange in it. In conclusion, the process of fermentation of sauerkraut was successful. Throughout the fermentation process, there was identifiable changes within the color, texture, and pH of the sauerkraut. In the future, studies can be done to show the type of salt or cabbage used and how it affects the fermentation process. I designed, performed research, analyzed data, and wrote the paper that went along with this experiment. I would also like to thank my roommates, Addison Lim and Emma Davitka, for being taste testers, along with the Hogoven family farms for making the store-bought sauerkraut.